Hello everyone, welcome to ChessCom, where we learn, laugh, and checkmate. For today's video, it is actually something special for me again, because we're going to look at a trap, which is called the Ponziani Opening. And yes, I used this trap to beat my dad in just 11 moves. So I played my usual calm opening and did a little misleading talk, acted like nothing was special. And that's exactly how the trap works. The Ponziani looks like a quiet opening because of the early pawn move for white, which is c3. White just plays it on the third move. It looks slow, but with one small inaccuracy, it can turn into a big problem quickly for black. So if you guys are ready, let's see how the trap unfolds, what black missed, and why understanding the idea matters more than memorizing the opening moves. So I started with pawn to e4. He played pawn to e5, then knight f3, knight c6, and normally my move is bishop c4 or bishop to b5. These are the most common moves for the light square bishop. But I delayed moving the bishop out, and I played pawn to c3. And I said, oh, I made a mistake. I should have moved my bishop out early. But okay, it's fine. So you can continue with your normal moves. And then he developed his knight to f6. And then I played pawn to d4 and gave him a little bit of misleading talk again. I said, oh, you can just capture my pawn on e4. I mean, anyway, I can capture your pawn on e5. Which he actually did. He took my pawn on e4. But instead of capturing his pawn on e5 right away, I played pawn to d5 to kick his knight out. Here he played knight to e7. Let's just try to go back. The knight has actually 1, 2, and 3 squares to go to, right? Moving the knight back to b8 doesn't look fine because it's like losing a tempo. Moving the knight to a5 is a blunder because I have pawn to b4 trapping the knight. That's why he's logically forced to move his knight to e7. And now I took his pawn on e5. Bam. And here he was actually thinking. He's he's probably trying to figure out, okay, should I move my knight to g6 to develop my bishop later and then to be able to castle? But I tried to trick him. I said, I think my knight on e5, sorry, is doing well. You should kick it out. He knows that moving the f pawn is just wrong, so he tried to kick it out by moving pawn to d6. And this was the start. This was a blunder, because now I have bishop to b5. Check it, boo. Blocking with the bishop is just an immediate loss. Blocking with the knight is also a loss. So he's forced to block with the pawn. And I took it. He took my knight, actually, because if it takes my pawn on c6, regardless with his knight or with his pawn, I can just always take it back, and then I'm winning. For example, it takes with a pawn, I take back, and I have a discovered attack threat. I'm attacking the queen, so this is just bad for him. And that's why, instead of taking my pawn on c6, it took my pawn on e5, and I took his pawn on b7, discovered attack, he blocks with his bishop, and I took it with my queen. It took it with his queen. I took his rook, promoted to a queen. I was actually trying to think, should I promote to a rook and just troll my dad? But I don't want to waste time. I just promoted to a queen, and then he resigned. Because if he tries to play knight c8, I'll just simply take it, and then he will lose his queen. And this is just game over. All right. I hope you learned something from this video. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the good chess file. Until next time, everyone. Bye bye for now.